monkeys. Primates, animals that go ooh ooh, ah ah, and our closest biological relative. Monkeys are pretty special creatures. Now, aside from being our cool evolutionary cousin, humans and monkeys have generally been intertwined from the very start. Both humans and monkeys tend to share similar, or close to at least, abilities to an extent with one another, some of which include reading comprehension, the use of sign language, social groups, fecal warfare, the use of tools, and most importantly, the ability to swing. Now, how do monkeys swing? Well, there's a couple of factors that all go into play, all under one concept called branchiation. Now, what is branchiation, you might ask? Well, in simple terms, it's swinging. There are two forms of branchiation. There's continuous, which involves just having some kind of constant contact while swinging, and then there's ricochetal, which involves an actual flight phase and requires more effort to successfully complete. However, both of these concepts require generally the same circumstances or factors in order for them to be achieved. So, this is just a quick summary of what it's needed to truly branchiate. In a 1999 study conducted by researchers from Cornell University and UC Berkeley, one of the main things that they found regarding gibbons whenever they swing was that they required some form of conservation of mechanical energy. Now, how is this done, you might ask? Well, it's very simple, converting themselves into a pendulum. Now, how does one utilize pendular motion? Well, it's fairly simple. First, at point A, you have lots of potential energy. Then, at point B, you take said potential energy and you convert it into kinetic energy. This allows you to gain lots of speed very quickly. And then, at point C, you convert that kinetic energy back into potential energy, slowing yourself down at your highest point. When gibbons did this, while neglecting some form of air resistance or friction, they found that gibbons could virtually swing on their own continuously. They would no longer have to use any additional energy by just simply converting themselves to a pendular motion. This is why it's important to use some form of pendular motion while branchiating. Now, for continuous branchiation, this is relatively simple enough. That's pretty much all you have to do. Now, for ricochetal branchiation, that's when you start getting into more complex factors involved. When a monkey is doing ricochetal branchiation, they must gain more speed in order to actually propel themselves from branch to branch. Obviously, if you have a flight phase, you gotta have more speed. So, this requires for the monkey to actually alter their angular velocity and their angular momentum by changing their hand placements in order to gain more speed to propel themselves higher in order to reach their target. And that brings me on to my next point. In a 2003 research article published by the American Journal of Biological Anthropology, the researchers suggested that one of the main factors needed in a successful ricochetal branchiation was the use of torque exerted in the legs, shoulders, and elbows. Fact: torque and angular momentum are inherently tied to one another, as torque determines whether rotational angular momentum is conserved or not. This can be represented by the equation tau delta t equal to delta L, in which tau, or torque, is multiplied by the change in the object's time, which is equal to the object's change in angular momentum. Now, what does this mean? For ricochetal branchiation, primates oftentimes have to utilize more extreme angles in order to obtain enough angular momentum to actually propel themselves to their target. This in turn means that they have to have some form of hand placement that allows for them to exert more external torque through their hands, elbows, and shoulders. This means that hand placement is incredibly crucial for branchiation. Now, there's got to be more involved than that, right? It can't just be energy and hand placement. There has to be more involved with that, right? Right? Now, a unifying factor in utilizing both pendular motions and hand placement within branchiation is the management of one's moment of inertia. What's moment of inertia, you might ask? Moment of inertia is defined by the measurement of how difficult it is to change the rotational rate or angular velocity of a rigid body object working on an axis. For primates, moment of inertia is crucial in determining whether they'll successfully land on their target when they branchiate, or if they'll just go tumbling down like a moron. Now, moment of inertia can be represented by the equation I equals mr squared, in which I, or moment of inertia, is equal to that of mass times distance, or r, squared. Now, how does this play into primates branchiating? In a 2020 report created by students from Carnegie Mellon University, they found that one of the main factors needed in a successful recovery after branchiation was the reduction in the moment of inertia in a monkey's arms. The way that monkeys do this is by first flexing their elbows, shoulders, and legs, or in some cases just one, and then taking their stance arm, or the arm that's holding the branch, and bringing it towards them. This effectively reduces their moment of inertia and allows for them to slow themselves down when recovering. Now, this concept of managing one's moment of inertia is found in all facets of branchiation and is a crucial circumstance needed in a successful attempt. Now, if you pair this factor alongside the other circumstances previously mentioned, alongside a continual evolution that helps advance and improve this mechanic, then you get yourself a pretty dandy set of branchiators. Now, let's put that scenario into place here. Let's imagine Mojo Jojo over here. Hello, my name Mojo Jojo. He wants to get from this branch to this branch. This one's got a big old banana on it. You know, it's pretty good, pretty juicy, right? Well, what does he have to do? Well, first he has to climb up the tree. He can't be on the ground, stupid. Come on. Now, in all seriousness, what this truly requires is for Mojo Jojo to convert himself to a pendular motion. Now, the way that he does this is by consistently swinging back and forth alongside the management of his moment of inertia, allowing him to obtain more angular momentum and thus increasing his angular velocity. Then, at his highest point, which typically is when he has the most potential energy, he will let go, and then he will come back down, and he will grab onto the next branch. This right here has made it to where Mojo Jojo, hello, my name Mojo Jojo, has successfully made it to the banana, and he's enjoying himself a pretty delicious treat. Okay, bye-bye.